Hi, I'm Evelyn Linwood. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am a recently published fantasy author, self-published. I put out my debut novel, Showing Silver, on May 8th of this year, 2025. So today is actually only the 20th, but this video will come out towards the end of the month. But I wanted to go through kind of what I spent getting that book out there, and how many copies I would need to sell to make that up. I think that this is helpful for people who are deciding where to spend money, where not to, where to not cut corners, but cut costs. I know that I found videos like this extremely helpful when I was in the planning stages, and I know that I will find this debut experience very helpful moving forward. So first off, I'm going to go through just what I spent on Showing Silver. I do have a lot of outside expenses, so I will disclose the total amount. But I started a business to go with this, and there are certain, like I paid for software, I paid for advertising, office supplies, that kind of thing. So I did start a small publisher, and I offer like copy editing and stuff like that through there. So there are overhead fees that are not related to Showing Silver, and I'm not going to go through those line by line, but I will show tell you the full amount. But today I will just focus on Showing Silver, the book itself, because I did a lot of things that are not necessary. I mean, I think they set me up for long-term success, but if you're just trying to get one book out there. So, Showing Silver, in total, I spent $631.92. Some of these things were just optional things that I paid for. Some of them you really can't get around, and I will go through each item. So first off, I did pay for ISBNs. I know that the vendors have free ISBNs that you can use, but they are vendor specific, and you wind up with like 20 versions of your novel out there. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, I just wanted it streamlined. Just the ease of use, ease of finding my book was important to me. This is something that I used to look up books by ISBN numbers, so I really cared about it. I don't do that as much anymore, but it was still important to me. So I paid $295 for 10 ISBNs. It does get a lot cheaper per ISBN. Like, I wanted to do the 100 one. I think it's somewhere around $500, but it just wasn't in the budget. I think if you buy just one, actually, I will look up those numbers for you. Just a moment. The Bowker website is currently under construction, so I can't look it up, but I did find a graphic on Readsy. So I'm fairly certain that's accurate. One ISBN is $125 US. 10 ISBNs are $295. That's what I did. 5 ISBNs are $575. Or you can get 1,000 for $1,500. Now, I think probably most people would never use 1,000, but some people would, because you use a separate ISBN for each like edition. So there's the ebook, paperback, hardcover. Maybe you put a second edition out that's got a fancy cover. Like every time you update it, you use a new ISBN. Well, not like if you make a tiny change, you don't need to use a new ISBN, but if you change the cover, I believe you do, or if you change, I think it's 20% of the interior. So I got myself, now after that ISBN ramble, I got myself 10. So I'm only counting 59 of that towards Showing Silver's cost, because I will be using the other 8 on other books. But it does go into other costs. So I have $59 for ISBNs. I paid $300 for my cover. Oh, I'm going to grab it. I paid $300 for my cover, and I am very happy with it. I'm very happy with it. So that is, I mean, it's not the cheapest cover. You can get like a pre-made for under $50 at some places I don't know about. But for me, the cover was very important. I would say if there's one place to invest, it would be in your cover. Either that or in editing. I am very happy with my cover. $300 is relatively cheap in the grand scheme of things for a book cover. It doesn't sound like it, but it is. And I know some people will like take a course, learn to do their own book covers. Some people, if you already have the skills, you can do it. I did find that my thoughts about like the genre trends in covers were at least 5 years behind based on just a combination of my own research and what my cover designer said. So I leaned into trusting her on what were the genre trends at the moment. So this is not the cover that I pictured in my head, but I like it so much better, and I think it fits in better with the current atmosphere of coming of age fantasy. So cover was $300, and then I did file a copyright, so that was $65. That is an optional step. It was important to me because it is my work and I want to have a trail for it. Realistically, if someone pirates your book, the legal fees are very expensive to try and fix things. So most self-published authors are not going to be able to actually defend their work, even if they want to. And you do own... It's my understanding that your intellectual property, as long as you didn't use AI, which I don't go anywhere near that. So if you produce an artwork, you automatically own it. You don't actually need to file copyright. However, it can be wise to do so. I don't know like legal details. I'm not a lawyer. So make your own decision, do your own research, maybe consult an attorney. Don't listen to me on that one, but I did pay $65 to have copyright. Proof of copyright. And they mail a little certificate. The day I got it, I was embarrassingly excited about it. As for editing, I did not actually hire an editor. This isn't a course that I would recommend for most people. I do copy edits for other authors, as well as manuscript critiques, so I have some experience. Even so, it's not necessarily a path I would recommend. If you have an area of expertise, it can be an opportunity to cut back on self-publishing costs. In particular with editing, one of the dangers is that you've just been with these words for so long that you can't really see the words anymore. You just kind of, I know what I wrote there, and your eye skips ahead. So for me, I mitigated this by taking like a significant break between when I finished writing and when I started copy editing, as well as I had a lot of eyes on it. So I had ARC readers giving me typos. I had my mom do proofreading, which don't ask your mom to help with your book unless she is particularly good at that. My mom has always been my proofreader person. Whenever I've had to write something, I've had her give it a once over. She's very good at spotting misplaced commas, in particular, she's a lot better at spelling than I am. Like I have things memorized, but she just does it intuitively. So you can mitigate the risks. It's a decision that I made because hiring an actual editor is just simply not in my budget. There was just no way that it's just too expensive. So that is the one area that I cut where you could pay. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the outcome. Since it's been published, I have been given 3 typos from somebody else, one of the readers, who I did ask to do that, so it wasn't like, oh, you have a typo. And then I found one myself. So I fixed those. You can change the interior once the book's out. It's not the end of the world. I feel bad for the first few people who got it, but if they have the ebook, it should update. So, and they're really not noticeable. It was like, one was a comma that should have been a period. That's the one I found. One was, like I said, than instead of then, which that's the kind of thing that slips through everybody. Every book has one, even traditionally published books, you will find typos. It's just the nature of the game. So I skipped editing costs, but I did pay for proof copies. When you get a proof copy, where's my book? When you get a proof copy, I ordered mine from Amazon because that's the only place that I have printing my book. Amazon makes it very easy to return misprints. And also they have like I like how intense the colors on their covers are. Some of the other printers, there's nothing wrong with the books that they put out, really, but I just like the intensity of the colors you can get at Amazon. When you order a proof copy, it comes with a not for resale bar. So you can't like up and sell them, but they are very useful. For me, I discovered that my what do you call that thing? My spine was not quite right. And this was not my cover designer's fault. This was down to me because I gave her the wrong page count. Oh, I didn't mention that. My cover designer was Yasby Designs. I just absolutely love the cover. If you're looking for someone who is reasonably priced and does not use AI. That was very important to me. I made sure that she is on the same page about that, and she said if the author doesn't want AI, there's no AI. And she was pretty careful from what I could tell, so hopefully that was correct. So we found the cover, like the spine issue, and she just fixed it, and then it took a couple tries because, printers are finicky. So I did do 2 rounds of proof copies. So the only difference was the spine. I thought about trying a glossy one, but I just like matte books, so my book is matte. It's probably because I grew up reading like the mass market paperbacks. They were my go-to. As you can see, this is not a mass market. This is more the more common style these days, I think. What else did I pay for? Proof copies, that was $15.56 for 3 total proof copies in 2 rounds. And then I also paid for author copies of the book. Some of these were gifts for people. Some were for bookstores. The majority were for bookstores. So I ordered 30 copies. I only gave away 3 of them. But I paid $148.32 per copy, or total. That works out to about $4.95 per copy. And then 2 of the gift copies were for like YouTubers. And I paid $14.04 for shipping for those. And these are people that either impacted me or I wanted them to have a copy. So it's not like, technically it's maybe marketing, but it's more just a person. It is what it is. And then the last thing I spent money on was I paid $30 total, $10 per month for 3 months of BookFunnel. Now, technically, this isn't a direct novel cost, but I used it to get my ARC copies out. I have since canceled BookFunnel for now. When I get closer to my sequel releasing, I do plan to go back to BookFunnel, have the account again, use it for ARCs, and then maybe do some newsletter swaps. For now, I don't think $10 per month is going to serve me well while I'm just trying to get the next book out. But I do think that BookFunnel definitely delivers value for what they charge is very reasonable. So again, my total for Showing Silver was $631.92. So that's a lot cheaper than what I've heard some people say. I did not budget that high. I budgeted significantly less than that. So I did have, I didn't think about proof copies or author copies or BookFunnel. So there were some things that just, they came up and they were worth it to me to put a little more into it. So I did do some math. For the print, I make $4.63 if someone gets it from Amazon. I'm not quite sure what the bookstore amount is, but it is 60% at Amazon and 60% in the bookstores, so I imagine it's fairly comparable. So the print, the profit that I get is $4.63 if someone orders it from Amazon. So in order to make back my money, if I was selling purely print copies, I would have to sell 137 copies. For ebook, I make $2.73. I was honestly a little bit surprised that I make less on ebook. It's priced at, I think, $3.99. And I've had lots of authors tell me that they make more on ebook than print, but I think I priced my print copy fairly low. It's like $14. So I'm not quite sure how that math worked out, but it did. So I make less on ebooks. I make $2.73 per copy. So if I was selling purely ebooks, I would need to sell 232 copies to make my money back. Now, that doesn't sound like that much, but it is significantly more than the average indie book sells. I've heard a lot of different averages given, but the one commonly accepted is that most indie books sell less than 100 in their lifetime. Which, to be fair, some people put out one book and they just put it out, don't do anything to market it. They maybe sell 1 or 2 copies to friends. It's important to them that they have their book out in the world, but they don't make it their thing. So that is the number for specifically the Showing Silver costs. I do have other costs, like my website. I use Canva for social media posts. Currently, my newsletter is free. I use MailerLite, and just the number of subscribers I have is on their free tier. However, there have been quite a few business expenses and that sort of thing. So while I've only spent $631.92 on Showing Silver, I have spent $1,992.85 on that plus other business expenses. So a lot of those are not necessary if you want to publish a book, but they are a factor for me in making my money back. So, for example, for print copies at $4.63 profit, To make back my showing silver money is 137 copies, but if I want to make back all of my money, that's 431. For ebook at 273, to make back my showing silver is 232 copies. But if I want to make back all of my business expenses, it is 730 copies. I don't expect to do that for Showing Silver. That has never been my expectation. Showing Silver is my debut novel. It's the first of a duology, so I don't really expect to sell that many until it's complete. I think a lot of people don't want to start a series that they don't know for sure will be complete, so hopefully I will put up the sequel around the same time next year, and then it will be easier to sell the total thing. And I'm also working on the next series. Most indie authors don't start making money until around the 4th or 5th book. I'm hoping to start around book 4. So yeah, these are the real numbers that I spent. I think that they're fairly comparable to what a lot of people spend. I know a lot of people spend more, especially if they hire an editor, which, again, if you can afford it, I would 1,000% recommend. Other than that, I hope that these numbers are helpful for you if you are in a decision-making, a planning kind of stage. For me, I'm being patient. I'm hoping to build up over the course of a couple years. And again, like for the overall business expenses, I do offer copy edits. So it's not my intention to make back all of that through my novels. It's my hope that the novels will pay for at least themselves. Realistically, long term, it is my goal to be a full-time author and have that be my main income source. But I don't foresee stopping offering like copy edits and manuscript critiques, novel formatting, that kind of thing anytime soon. That is just part of my model that I am trying to pay for my publishing career until my publishing career takes off. And like long term, I want it to be the small publisher that I started, Night Sky Publishing. I want that to have a model where I don't want to buy other people's IP, but I do want to help them publish. If you're new to the book world, IP just means intellectual property. So I don't want to buy distribution rights. I don't want to own other people's work. I do want to help people like new indie authors like myself, or maybe people who have been in the game for a long time but are trying to like up their game. I want to help connect people with the professionals that they need. So long term, I would like to have editors that people can pay like a small fee to get hooked up with an editor they can trust, or a cover designer that they can trust and know won't be using AI if they don't want AI, or they know that this person has experience in their genre, that kind of thing. It's not that I want to be like a hybrid publisher per se. It's more like I want to help people publish themselves. I want to make that easier. Currently, the options are basically trad or self-publish. And if you self-publish, you basically are a business person. Like you might not officially own a business, but you've got all these overhead expenses and all these moving pieces. You have to cover marketing and all that. Long term, I would like to make that easier on people who want to self-publish, they want to be writers. So many people just want to write, and they are stuck doing the other little things. I enjoy the other little things. Not everyone does. So that's my vision long term. It's not really related to what I spent, but it is related to how I plan to make that back. So yeah, it is possible to get a book out for less than $1,000. Technically, it's possible to get a book out for none. If you don't order proofs, which I would recommend if you're going to have print books that you order proofs, because like I found an issue. But if you don't order proofs, if you use free ISBNs, especially if you're just doing an ebook, I didn't mention I did do my own formatting. So I do own Vellum software because I do formatting for other writers. So I didn't count that as a showing silver expense, but it is, I did pay for the software. It was around $265. To be clear, when I say I own Vellum software, it is Vellum the formatting software, not Vellum the AI that people are talking about right now. The two are not related. The software that I format with has even gone in and put an update because people were accusing authors, whatever. Because on your copyright page, it can say created using Vellum. They changed it to formatted using Vellum, or maybe it's formatted with Vellum. They changed it. Thank you, Vellum. You rock. I love this formatting software. Everyone in the book space is probably familiar with Vellum, like Atticus. I think there's another one that a lot of people use. I see the letters ID, but I can't remember what they stand for. So I'm really happy with that software. It is Mac only. So there's that. But I have a Mac, so. So I did my own formatting. You can pay a formatter. I wouldn't recommend paying more than like $50 unless you have a really significant, like a lot of images or something. If you want to learn to format your own book, I think it's worth the investment. It takes a few hours to get used to the software if you're not like super tech savvy, but so far I've used Atticus and I've used Vellum, and both were relatively intuitive. That is one area. On the front end, it doesn't cut costs, but like long term, if you put out 20 books, it pays for itself. Yeah. And now that I'm done rambling, thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. If there's other expenses that I didn't think of that you think, do you need that? Feel free to share them in the comments. I will try and comment on any comments that... comment on comments. I will try and respond to any comments. So if you have questions about expenses, if you have questions about like why I chose to spend money somewhere and not somewhere else, please feel free to ask the question. I will answer them as soon as when I can. And yeah, stick around for writing vlogs is like the staple of my channel, but I do want to keep doing little extra videos that are helpful, hopefully, as I gain expertise. Obviously, I'm at the beginning of my career, so some things I put out, it's more like, what have I found out so far? What have I stumbled on? It's not me being an expert. Like for the publishing cost thing, this is very much my debut. I am not an expert. I went off of what I've seen other people doing. I did a lot of research, but it will vary per what is your budget. You can put out a book for free. You just have to, let go of certain things. If you are going to spend money, the two areas that I would most recommend it are editing and covers. I have heard this advice from so many authors who are hit the microphone. I've heard this advice from so many self-published authors, enough that I am very confident giving that advice again. Very successful self-published authors. Covers are the first impression your book gives. Editing is the second impression. So as long as you have a high quality book with editing and a decent cover, the other stuff you can kind of hustle. But those are the two most important things to make sure that your book is high quality and is perceived as such. Yeah, that's the end of my advice.